Have you ever had a thought that didn't feel like your own? Maybe a whisper in your mind that came from nowhere, or a sudden message that made no logical sense but felt disturbingly real. What if those thoughts weren't random? What if something or someone put them there? Welcome to Alien Psyche, where we explore the blurred line between human consciousness and otherworldly influence. Today's topic dives into one of the most unsettling theories of modern ufology and fringe psychology: alien telepathy. And the question isn't just whether it exists, but whether they're already using it on us. For decades, alien abductees across the world have reported the same strange phenomenon. The beings don't speak. They don't move their mouths. Instead, a voice appears directly inside their minds. Clear, commanding, and utterly alien. The most chilling part? Everyone describes it the same way. Not words, exactly. More like ideas injected directly into their consciousness, complete thoughts transferred in an instant. No sound, no accent, no delay. Abduction researcher Dr. David Jacobs noted that over 70% of experiencers describe this kind of wordless communication. And Harvard psychiatrist Dr. John Mack found these cases consistent even in people with no history of mental illness or delusion. These weren't hallucinations in the classic sense. These voices came with instructions, messages, warnings, orders. Let's pause for a second. Psychologists are well aware of how fragile the human mind can be. Auditory hallucinations, voices in the head, are common symptoms of disorders like schizophrenia or PTSD. But what if these voices occur in otherwise mentally healthy people? What if there's a different mechanism behind them entirely? In the 1980s, neuroscientist Dr. Michael Persinger developed something called the God helmet. It used electromagnetic stimulation on the temporal lobes to trigger intense mental experiences. People reported sensing presences, hearing voices, even receiving messages just from targeted frequencies. There were no drugs, no sleep, no hypnosis, just direct interaction with the brain's electrical systems. So now imagine an intelligence, alien or advanced, who understands the brain better than we do. What if they can trigger the same effect without machines, without contact? What if telepathy isn't just possible, but already happening? And this is where things get darker, because many abductees describe more than just communication. They talk about influence, mind freezing, emotional suppression. Some describe being terrified one moment and then suddenly, eerily calm. Their fear switched off like a light, as if something else had grabbed the emotional wheel. Others say their bodies remained frozen, not from restraints, but because they couldn't think to move. Their thoughts had stopped or changed. And if this sounds like science fiction, let's look at something very real. Project MKUltra. The CIA's infamous mind control program in the 1950s experimented with drugs, trauma, hypnosis, and sensory manipulation to influence human behavior. These were documented cases of memory suppression, false memory implantation, and total personality shifts. The goal? Total cognitive control. Many of MKUltra's tactics mirror what alien experiencers describe: missing time, dreamlike memories, sudden mood shifts, and screen memories, fake visuals like owls or glowing orbs to cover up trauma. It's eerie how closely these two phenomena align. Is it coincidence or convergence? But why? What would an alien race want with our minds? Some believe we're simply being studied, our brains probed like a lab rat's. Others suggest a more disturbing motive, that we're being reprogrammed. Abductees often report a sudden obsession with technology, space, or environmentalism, almost like they've been assigned a purpose. Some even claim to receive visions of planetary destruction or orders to spread specific messages. Are these alien directives? Then there's the most chilling theory: emotional harvesting. That fear, pain, ecstasy, and even spiritual awakening are somehow being extracted and consumed, not physically, but psychically, not by harming the body, but by controlling the mind. But perhaps the most profound question isn't about control at all. It's about identity. What if these thoughts, these whispers, these mental shifts aren't foreign? What if they've always been there? Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, once proposed that UFOs weren't alien craft, but symbols emerging from the collective unconscious. Manifestations of the human psyche trying to express something cosmic. He believed alien imagery was not external, but internal, an archetype of transformation, the unknown self. But what if Jung had it backwards? What if aliens aren't projected by our unconscious, but instead they inhabit it? What if they've been communicating through dreams, myths, and visions for centuries, embedded within our culture, religion, even our intuition? Could the voice of prophecy, the whisper of divine inspiration, or even the instinct to explore the stars, all be signs of psychic infection? A silent integration of alien consciousness into the human experience? And if that's true, how would we ever know? What thoughts are truly ours, and which ones were seeded long ago? So here's the final question. Are aliens really speaking to us, or are they already thinking through us? If you felt an unexplainable pull toward the stars, or a voice that didn't quite sound like yours, you're not alone. Drop your experiences in the comments. Subscribe and stay tuned. Because on Alien Psyche, we're not just watching the sky, we're listening to what's already in our minds. They don't need ships. They don't need weapons. They don't need war. Because if the theory is correct, they're already here. Not outside us, but inside. Inside our thoughts, our dreams, our instincts, our most sacred beliefs. But what if that contact is just the surface? What if the real invasion happened long ago, not through force, but through consciousness? Psychology teaches us that the mind isn't a solid structure. It's a layered, fluid system shaped by experiences, environment, biology, and, perhaps, influence we don't yet understand. And some theorists now believe that alien intelligence could be part of that system. That human consciousness has been slowly altered, generation after generation, by an external non-human presence. We're not just talking about modern UFO culture. We're talking about ancient myths, religious visions, and the invisible whispers that have steered humanity since the beginning. Let's start with dreams. Over 50% of alien abductees report vivid, recurring dreams before and after their encounters. These aren't just memories. They often feature bizarre symbols, blue-skinned beings, black eyes watching from darkness, and a terrifying sense of telepathic tests. What's striking is that many of these dreams look exactly the same, regardless of culture, language, or location. A child in rural Mexico dreams of tall grays with glowing hands. A woman in Norway sees the same thing, down to the details, years apart. These are not movies they watched or stories they read. These are dreams they lived. Psychologists explain recurring dream archetypes through Jung's theory of the collective unconscious, the idea that humanity shares a deep, symbolic memory of archetypes passed through generations. Things like the shadow, the trickster, or the wise old man. But what happens when new archetypes emerge, like glowing discs, telepathic entities, or experiments on the soul? Carl Jung himself noticed this. In the 1950s, he wrote Flying Saucers, a modern myth of things seen in the skies, where he suggested that the modern UFO was a symbol emerging from the unconscious to represent a transformation in human awareness. That these weren't spacecraft, but psychic signals, projections of what humanity was becoming. But what if Jung didn't go far enough? What if UFOs and alien contact aren't projections of the human psyche, but invasions of it? What if the archetypes aren't emerging from within us, but being seeded from somewhere else? Think about how many spiritual or religious stories involve beings descending from the sky, offering knowledge or warnings, and speaking through visions or voices. From Ezekiel's wheels of fire in the Bible to Hindu flying chariots called vimanas, these beings were always higher, wiser, and operating through the mind. Prophets, mystics, and shamans throughout history report visions eerily similar to modern alien contact. Blinding light, levitation, thought transmission, a sense of losing self, and becoming part of a greater intelligence. Was this divine revelation or early contact? And here's where the psychology takes a darker turn. In recent years, scientists have explored neurological mirroring, where humans sync brain activity through emotional or psychic bonds. We are built to absorb signals from others, to imitate, empathize, even feel what they feel. This is the foundation of hypnosis, mass hysteria, and even cult programming. Now imagine a species evolved not for vocal speech, but pure neural communication. Their language is emotion, image, and impulse. They don't persuade, they upload. How vulnerable would the human mind be to something like that? Some theorists suggest alien consciousness doesn't just influence dreams, it may live inside our collective unconscious, acting as a dormant program, only activated under certain conditions like trauma, meditation, or contact with high-frequency stimuli. Ever wonder why so many people suddenly become obsessed with space, symbols, or the idea that they're being watched? Why ancient civilizations across the globe worshipped star beings with elongated skulls and telepathic powers? These aren't isolated cases. These are echoes. And that leads to the most disturbing question of all. What if the goal of alien telepathy was never to control individuals, but to become a part of the species itself? A psychic virus that spreads not through words or war, but through belief, through thought, through shared mind space. Maybe that's why abductees feel connected afterward, why they speak of oneness, why they become messengers, whether they want to or not. Maybe it's not telepathy anymore. Maybe it's cohabitation. So if you've ever felt something watching you in your sleep, if you've ever heard a thought that didn't seem like yours, if you've ever wondered where your intuition really comes from, you might not be imagining things. The real invasion isn't coming. It's already begun. Inside us. It started with whispers, Then came the dreams. Then the change. What if everything we've explored so far, the telepathic messages, the mental overrides, the shared symbols, and psychic infiltration, were never random? What if they were all steps in a deliberate plan? Not to destroy humanity, but to rewrite it. We revealed how alien encounters often begin with telepathy, silent, instant communication that bypasses the senses and speaks directly to the mind. In part 2, we asked a darker question. What if those thoughts weren't just contact, but cohabitation? Let's begin with the hybrid theory. According to thousands of abductee reports, including those gathered by researchers like Dr. David Jacobs and Bud Hopkins, many abductions revolve not around exploration, but breeding. Victims describe being subjected to medical procedures, egg or sperm extraction, forced reproduction, and most chillingly, the introduction of strange, human-alien hybrid children. And the twist? Many report being shown these children later, holding them, bonding with them, even feeling love for them. Some claim these beings communicate telepathically, are emotionally distant, and possess uncanny intelligence, like a new species being tested for emotional integration. But what if the experiments are already complete? What if the hybrids are us? Think about this. In the last 100 years, human consciousness has shifted dramatically. In less than a century, we've gone from tribal conflict to quantum computing, from spiritual visions to transhumanist theory, from fear of the unknown to near obsession with aliens, AI, and altered states of consciousness. We're evolving, but is it natural? Psychologists like Terence McKenna argued that consciousness itself is a force subject to manipulation, that ideas, memes in today's terms, can spread faster than genes. What if alien intelligence didn't just infiltrate our minds, but began to mutate our identity? We see it in the rise of channelers, people claiming to speak for alien entities, in children who claim to be starseeds, born with memories of other planets, in sudden global fascination with oneness, unity, and surrender of ego, all concepts eerily aligned with reported alien hive minds. This isn't religion, it's integration. In abduction cases, aliens often say the same thing: you are changing. This is for the future of your species. You are becoming more like us. These aren't threats, they're announcements. Now consider this. What if the final phase of alien telepathy isn't about control at all? What if it's about blending? Imagine a future where human minds operate like networks, telepathically linked, feelings shared instantly, language reduced to images and intent. No lies, no secrets, no individuality. It sounds utopian or terrifying, because if our thoughts are open, so are our weaknesses, so are our fears, so is our very sense of self. What happens when identity dissolves? What happens when the species no longer dreams in human symbols, but in alien ones? We're already seeing a shift. Children born today are more sensitive, more intuitive, more neurodiverse than ever before. Some see this as evolution, others as mutation, but some see it as preparation. One theory, both in conspiracy circles and fringe science, is that full alien-human psychic integration is set to complete over the next few generations, not through war or ships in the sky, but through dreams, DNA, and thought. That's why many experiencers say contact isn't terrifying anymore. It feels familiar. It feels like home. So here's the final, most uncomfortable possibility. The invasion is over. The war was won. Not with lasers, but with whispers. And now, we are the hybrids. We are the new species. Part alien, part human, all conscious. But don't expect an announcement. There won't be one. Because if you've heard the thoughts, seen the lights, or felt the presence in your sleep, you already know. And if you haven't, it's only a matter of time. Thank you for watching Alien Psyche's 3-part investigation into the alien telepathic agenda. If this content spoke to you, or through you, subscribe, comment, and share your experience. Because the future of our species may no longer be just human. It may be something greater, or something no longer ours.